So our first paper speaker today is Yinjie Hu at the University of Buffalo, and he is an assistant professor there in the Department of Geography, and he will be giving an exciting talk today entitled Semantic and Sentiment Analysis on Online Neighborhood Reviews. Yinjie, take it away.
Thank you, Cleo. So I will start to share my screen now. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Cleo, for organizing this POI symposium, and it's really exciting to see a lot of these interesting talks. The title of my presentation here is a semantic and sentiment analysis on online neighborhood reviews for understanding the perceptions of people toward their living environment. So neighborhoods are where a lot of our daily activities happen. And a neighborhood often contains multiple points of interest. And so here, this is one of the famous neighborhoods in the city of Buffalo. It's Elmwood Village. And here are some of the POIs in the neighborhood. So there are restaurants, there are stores, grocery stores, and many other types of stores. And there are also museums. So by understanding these neighborhoods, we can also understand the geographic context of POIs. And neighborhoods, they can also be considered as regions of interest themselves. So very often, after we have lived in a neighborhood for some time, we develop some perceptions and feelings towards our neighborhood. Maybe some aspects we like, probably some other aspects not so much. The perceptions of people toward the neighborhoods can reflect our satisfactions with the living environment. However, collecting data on the perceptions of people toward the neighborhoods can be difficult. So we can certainly use surveys or, for example, phone-based interviews to ask people about how do they feel about their neighborhoods. These approaches are definitely possible, but they can also be labor-intensive and time-consuming. So in recent years, there is an emergence of neighborhood review websites. And on these neighborhood review websites, people can express their opinions toward their neighborhood. So this is a screenshot from the website called Niche. And as you can see, people here, they provide ratings toward their neighborhood. And also they provide some textual comments about their opinions toward these neighborhoods. And analyzing these online neighborhood reviews can help us understand the perceptions of people toward their living environment. And this can have applications to help us understand the perceived quality of life, urban planning, and other areas. However, one limitation we noticed is that people often provide only a single overall rating while commenting on more than one aspect. So here is one review. As you can see, the review gives a 4-star, and the comment is this neighborhood is close to a lot of restaurants and stores. However, I don't feel very safe as there are sometimes suspicious persons walking around. So as we can see, this review can be considered as talking about two aspects of the neighborhood. Right? So one is about its accessibility to restaurants and stores. The other is about the safety of this neighborhood. But we only get one rating toward this neighborhood overall. So now the research question we have is that, can we obtain finer neighborhood perception information by decomposing a single overall rating to aspect-specific ratings. So can we somehow analyze those neighborhood reviews and decompose those ratings so that we can have a better understanding on the perceived neighborhoods in different aspects, such as safety, such as life convenience. So we divide this into two subtasks. One is about semantics. Basically, we are asking what are the semantic topics or aspects people are talking about their neighborhoods. And the second one is sentiments. So what are the sentiments of people toward those different aspects of their neighborhood? And we looked into the literature, and there are actually already multiple methods that are possible to help us achieve these two subtasks. So I will be talking about these multiple methods individually. So for the first subtask, namely to identify the topics that are being discussed in these online reviews, we use topic modeling. And one typical method is LDA, so latent directly allocation, which is an unsupervised approach for topical modeling. It basically considers each individual review as consisting of multiple topics or multiple aspects, and LDA will try to identify the parameters that can help the algorithm generate reviews most similar to what we have in the data. The other one is MGLDA or multi-grain LDA. We looked into this method largely because this is a method specifically proposed for analyzing online reviews. And it was originally proposed for analyzing products in online shopping websites such as Amazon. And a major difference of MGLDA and LDA is that it actually considers two types of topics. One is global topics, and so these are the topics associated with specific products. So initially in their work, they propose this idea because in online reviews, there can be many products in different brands, in different categories. And some reviews, they are generally about those different brands and categories, which are not really rateable. It's not about the quality, but more about the typical brands. The other one is local topics, and this one is more about the rateable aspects shared by different products. And then for quantifying the sentiments of online reviews towards different aspects, we tried three different approaches. The first one is a naive approach. So basically, we just assume that a reviewer has the same ratings as the overall rating toward all discussed aspects. So basically, if the reviewer says gives a 4-star for a review, and then we are going to say we are going to assume that this reviewer will have 4-star for all of the aspects that are discussed in the review. This is quite a naive approach, but it is actually not that naive, and I will show you later in the experimental results. The second approach is a lexicon-based approach. So basically, we use a predefined external sentiment lexicon, which defines the sentiments for different words. Right? So it may have a positive sentiment for a word like good, or have a more negative sentiment toward a word like bad. So then basically we use the predefined sentiment scores associated with different words and to eventually evaluate the sentiments of a review toward different aspects. The last one is a more advanced modeling approach called LARA, and it's a latent aspect regression model. Basically, it assumes that the reviewer gives a final rating there because the reviewer has some latent or unobservable rating toward different aspects. And eventually, the final rating given by the reviewer is a combination, a weighted combination of these different individual hidden ratings. The final rating follows, they assume the final rating follows a Gaussian distribution with the mean as the weights of different aspects and also the weights sentiments associated with different words. And these are learned from the data set. So with these methods prepared, then we did a case study. We used over 7,600 online neighborhood reviews from niche for New York City, and these are contributed by by the same number of different users because a niche does not allow one user to comment on the same neighborhood multiple times. There are in total 233 neighborhoods in New York City based on the definition of niche and neighborhood. As you know, it's a more vague concept, and different organizations may have their own definitions. So here we directly use the neighborhood definition from niche. So in order to first identify related topics, and so we use LDA. And if you have used LDA, you know that we will need to first identify the suitable number of topics, so the K value. We used 4 different metrics to evaluate the quality of the identified topics. And we also manually examined those topics. So we basically tried different topics, different numbers of topics from 2 topics to 10 topics. And then eventually we found out that K equals to 8 gives us a more reasonable result. So as you can see, some of these topics, for example, this one seems to be related to safety, police, and crime. So we label it as crime and safety. So the original output of LDA is just topics in the form of a group of words. So we did manually interpret and label those topics. And second one seems to be more related to community friendliness and also cultural diversity, transportation convenience, local weather, life convenience, and employment opportunity, housing conditions. So we also tested the performance of MGLDA, and we set the parameters of the local topics to be 8 in order to be comparable with the results of LDA, and the K global equals to 20. And those settings, they are recommended by the authors of the method. So these are the topics we get. So these are the local topics, and based on the idea of the method, those should be the aspects that is readable. But to our surprise, we found that the result we have seems to be a bit more mixed. So it seems we have, for example, safety related to multiple topics here. So for example, here in this other topic, and also in another topic here, we also observe another topic such as this life, live seems to be very general, expressed like that people just like live here, but it's not really about some specific aspect of a neighborhood. So based on the result, we eventually decided to use the topics identified by LDA. And we also thought about why this actually happened. And we think because MGLDA initially it was used for online product reviews, which as I showed before, they can have, for example, different brands, and there can be topics about each individual brand. Whereas for neighborhoods, the topics we are concerned about seems to be more similar. So for example, for different neighborhoods, we probably will be more care about safety, about life convenience, about transportation convenience. So maybe that is a reason that makes LDA perform better. So then we also did a sentiment analysis, and we used the 3 different approaches we discussed previously. A major challenge here is to evaluate the quality of the derived aspect-specific sentiments, because we do not really know the actual sentiment of the reviewers toward different aspects based on their review. So in order to evaluate the quality of the decomposed sentiments, we use the platform Amazon Mechanical Turk. What we did is that we randomly selected 1,000 reviews from our data set. And for each review, we ask 5 different AMT users to rate the aspects that this review is talking about, and also the sentiment that they think the reviewer has toward each aspect that is talked about. And we did a design. User interface to help us do this data collection process. So here you can see that basically one AMT user will be able to see the review and also the overall star. And we ask the user to identify, to check the aspect that they think the reviewer is talking about. Right? So if they think the reviewer is talking about crime and safety, they can check this. Or if they think about the reviewer is talking about the cultural diversity, they can check this one. And once this aspect is checked, then the reviewer, the AMT user will be able to evaluate on the sentiment score of this aspect. We also did do a quality control in order to ensure that the AMT users did read those reviews and also text. So we evaluated the result using the metric average rating loss. Basically, it compares how similar or dissimilar the rating that is derived by the algorithm compared with the actual rating annotated by the reviewers. And generally, the smaller the value, the better the quality of the result. So overall, we did see that LARA performs better than the other approaches. So once we have extracted those perceptions, now we can map them, and then we can see how people perceive the different aspects of their neighborhoods. So on the left side, this is the overall rating. When we aggregate all of the reviews without considering different aspects, as you can see, most neighborhoods receive a rating between 3 and 4 stars. But if we actually do decomposing those reviews, we can see different pictures. For example, people seem to be more happy about community friendliness, cultural diversity, and less so happy with employment opportunity, housing conditions. So we can indeed get additional information by decomposing those reviews. We also did a spatial autocorrelation analysis, try to identify whether similar satisfaction scores tend to happen for different aspects in nearby neighborhoods. And we did see that for some topics, such as crime, safety, community friendliness, we observe statistically significant spatial autocorrelation. We also compared those subjective sentiments with those objective, with some of the objective socioeconomic values. We want to see how they perceived neighborhoods is different or similar to the to the observed result. And we observed some statistically significant correlations and also some not so significant correlations. And we tried to understand the possible reasons, and there are some representative issues, but also there are also some subjective preferences that people are talking about, such as they may talk about for example, they may talk about the reliability of bus schedules, while our objective data is more about the convenience of travel. So conclusions, we talked about the semantic and sentiment analysis for online neighborhood reviews and compared the derived sentiments with the socioeconomic values, and similar approaches could also be applied to analyze reviews of POS. Okay, thank you very much. That's all.